Washington Township, I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Statement of meeting notice. Adequate notice of this meeting was given to the public 48 hours in advance of the date, setting forth the date, time, location, and type of meeting. Notice was sent to the Daily Record, the Observer Tribune, and the Washington Township Clerk, and was posted on the district website at www.wtschools.org. All please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, I'd like to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss legal, negotiation, and personnel matters. All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll be in exec session for approximately 30 minutes. Thanks. Thanks everybody for the patience. Moving on to President's comments. There's an item under new business tonight that, according to council, actually needs to be read at the beginning of the meeting. It's actually not a motion. According to council, it's just a resolution, so I just have to read it. There's no vote on it. I'll read that now. Whereas Jennifer Ryan is a school official as defined in the School Ethics Act, serving as a member of the Washington Township Board of Education, located in Morris County, and whereas by decision dated October 28, 2025, the School Ethics Commission found that respondent failed to file complete personal/relative and financial disclosure statements as required by NJSA 18A 12-25 and NJSA 18A 12-26 and NJAC 6A 28-3.1. And whereas the Commission recommended that the Commissioner of Education impose a penalty of censure as respondent filed complete disclosure statements after the Commission issued an order to show cause. And whereas by the decision dated December 12, 2025, the Commissioner of Education concurred that a penalty of censure was the appropriate penalty in the above captioned matter. And whereas NJAC 6A 28-9.11D provides that for a penalty of censure, suspension, or removal, a resolution shall be adopted at the Commissioner's next meeting following the Commissioner's imposition of the sanction, and the resolution shall be read at the Board's next public meeting following adoption by the Commission. Shall be posted in such places as the Board posts its public notices for no less than 30 days, shall be published online on the Board's website, if available, for no less than 30 days, and the reading of the resolution shall be memorialized in the Board meeting minutes, and once approved, a copy of the minutes shall be forwarded to the Commission. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Commission adopts this resolution stating that respondent is hereby censured as a penalty for having been found to have violated NJSA 18A 12-25, NJSA 18A 12-26, and NJAC 6A 28-3.1. And be it further resolved that the Washington Township Board of Education is ordered to read this resolution at its next regularly scheduled public meeting following the Commission's adoption, to post it in such places as the Board posts its public notices for a period of 30 days, and to publish it online at the Board's website, if available, for no less than 30 days. And be it further resolved that the Washington Township Board of Education shall provide the Commission with the minutes once adopted from the meeting at which it reads within resolution. Moving on to my regular President's comments. I just want to take a moment to thank our facilities and building maintenance teams for all their hard work and dedication during this recent stretch of cold weather and snow. Their commitment to keeping our buildings safe, warm, and operational, especially during early mornings and challenging conditions, does not go unnoticed. Same for our transportation department as we service our district and the high school daily, tackling bus challenges that arise during the extreme cold. We truly appreciate the pride everyone takes in their work and the support they provide to our staff and students each day. And that's it for my comments. Moving on to the superintendent's comments.
Good evening, everyone. In accordance with New Jersey's Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act, the results of the HIV-related investigations as conducted by designated school personnel will be reported to the Board of Education no later than the date of the regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting following the completion of investigation. The district totals for the reporting period are 7 unfounded and 1 founded. Per school, Benedict A. Cuccinella School had 5 reports, 5 were unfounded and 0 were founded. Flocktown Cosman School had 1 report and 1 was unfounded and 0 were founded. Old Farmers Road School had 0 reports. Long Valley Middle School had 2, 1 was unfounded and 1 was founded. That concludes my HIB report. At this time, I would like to take a moment to thank Jessica Toomey and Carolee Gately. They presented down at Atlantic City for Texpo 26, and similar to last year, but just always an exceptional job. Throughout the various workshops at the conference, I was there, I was so proud. We were exploring topics of shared leadership, statewide AI initiatives focusing on pedagogy, the AI's place in teaching and learning. Jessica and Carolee presented a session entitled High Quality Reflection for Impactful AI Integration in the Classroom, which used real examples from Jessica's kindergarten class to engage participants in a reflective discussion. The session was powerful in the sense where it really left everyone extremely motivated and excited. They stayed after. One even said to me, he's like, "You must be so proud." Of course I am, because this was the second time now I've seen them. And they were able to also exchange contact information to keep up with networking opportunities, which really speaks volumes to what they do on a daily basis. In addition to that, Carolee also presented at an AI panel for the other technology coordinators entitled AI Roadmap, Strategic Trends, Policies, and Practical Adoption in K-12. She's been tremendous here in our district. So again, I really just wanted to take the time. I'm extremely proud. They're going to be presenting in upcoming events, including Women in Leadership and over at some of the local universities. So again, I thank you and excellent job. And that concludes reports.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is a board retreat. This portion of the meeting will be our board retreat. I'll open up the floor to our NJSBA rep, Dr. Paul Pinheiro, who will give a presentation to the board. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. How are you? I'm torn between standing and sitting. I typically stand, but the microphone is probably unwieldy, so I'm going to sit and turn over. Okay. So anyway, I'm here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm here to talk a little bit about continuous improvement, and I'm putting it in the context of Michael Fullen's work on leading through change. So this is what our night, it's about a 40-minute presentation, and this is what we'll be looking at tonight. At the bottom there, I mentioned that this can be framed for the board members in the context of whether or not this framework, thinking if this framework that I'm going to share with you tonight were an audit, how do you think you're doing? So it's almost like I was a high school English teacher, used to give guided reading questions when showing some kind of video. So in a sense, I'm going to show you the presentation, and in your mind you're thinking, well, how are we doing when it comes to that kind of coherence in your governance? So those are the topics there that I'll be exploring, purpose and outcomes. So that's part of the language that comes out of Fullen's work. And coherence is another important theme that we'll be talking about. And then, of course, how your governance roles are aligned with goals, strategic focus for boards, and the next step to Q&A at the very end. So I think I am going to try that. This feels unnatural. I got it, don't worry. Okay. All right, that's much better. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so you are leaders of school systems in a sense. You provide the governance and the oversight for a school system. So in the context of Michael Fullen and systems, you're it. You're part of an organization that is a system. While the boards don't implement the improvement, that's the how, you do create conditions for coherent governance and change, and you also can develop that coherence through clarity, alignment, and sustained focus. So those are three important themes that we'll be touching base on throughout. So there's your responsibilities. Again, governance, this is the how and why thing again. Governance versus administration roles. So you're the governance folks, that's the why, and the administration, those are the how people. Ethics is part of policy leadership, and as a body, that's a big function of what you do, overseeing that. Student achievement and oversight, that's a big part of what you do as well.
And your other responsibilities, strategic planning and board self-evaluation, which I know you do every year. I took a look at your goals, and you're actually doing pretty well, in my opinion, as far as what this presentation will be sharing with you. Okay, so governance, especially for boards, too often feel like this. So this is actually applied in Fullen's work to all organizations, but it still sounds to me like a board might feel this way too. That sometimes your priorities are fragmented, that you have initiative overload. That might be more of an Antonella thing, but it does still connect with what the board does as far as oversight is concerned. Reactive to pressures and competing voices, of course. Okay, so this is just a quick slide to give you a sense of how I see, how we can sort of align what boards do according to the systems of leading in a culture of change that Fullen points out. So that slide again, initiative overload, et cetera, those are the 4 bullet points here. Boards today face the same challenges, identifying system changes. And why is it appropriate to look at how boards function in that context through that filter? Well, moral purpose is a big thing in Fullen, and so your moral purpose, of course, are student outcomes. That could be academic, it could be cultural, it could be their wellness, the whole child thing. But so that's like your moral purpose. So that's that. And then a pathway from activity to coherence. There's sort of a saying that a busy board doesn't necessarily mean an effective board. Sometimes being busy gets in the way of being effective if you're too busy with fires to put out and all. So there'll be a little more conversation about that. And then Fullen's framework can align policy, budget, goals, and evaluation. So aligning those kinds of things in an organization, you do that as well as boards. And then finally, clarifying the governance role in system-wide improvement. Okay, so these 2 boxes, which one of these feels like the most normal? So on the left we have issues, complaints, initiatives, programs, opinions, urgency. So for good or bad, that might feel a little familiar to board members as opposed to something that's fully aligned and chugging along with great coherence and focus. So the idea is you're always striving as a board, and I can tell from the goals and from the professional learning that you do each year. These are, yeah, right? Okay, good. So the things at the bottom right there, you're always striving to align through those points. Strategic goals, policy alignment, that's goal number 1, I think, for the board this year, or 3. Budget priorities, superintendent evaluation, and board norms. So if those things are aligned, that helps you get the coherence that you need to keep student outcomes as the focus. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so the shift to leading with purpose. So again, this is almost like a sort of a restatement. Your moral purpose are student outcomes. Building relationships are an important part of what boards do. So you need trust in the governance. You have to trust in one another because you have to make really important decisions together. You also want to win and maintain the trust of the public who voted for you to be here. And then there's the coherence making. So if you're going to be leading with purpose, you need your systems aligned. Okay, sort of graphic illustration of that. So for coherence to be your framework, focus is important, collaboration, a collaborative culture, accountability alignment, and deep learning. So those are all things that I think really do connect to what boards, effective boards are doing. Okay, articulate the why. Governance owns the why. We say that a lot, so every time we visit, we tend to make that delineation. And then the administrators own the how. So defining clear student outcome priorities and aligning resources accordingly, like that's how you achieve the why, and you do that through defining clear outcomes and aligning your resources. So alignment means everything, really. So you can align goals, yes, but you actually want to then align everything else to your mission statement, to your goals. Your budget needs to be aligned to those goals, all of it. Okay, understanding change. Improvement is nonlinear, it can be messy. So if we're talking about continuous improvement while we're also talking about strong governance, it can be messy, but coherence and alignment really helps with that. So you want to avoid constant priority shifts caused by short-term noise. So you know, you get your momentum going as a board, things are moving really well, you're in sync, and then something happens. And so noise doesn't necessarily have to mean something that's, you know, just random and not important. It could be something that's, you know, it's not malicious, but it comes up, and then that gets in the way. So the idea is to try to stay as focused as possible, and then stable governance sustains progress. So the more stable you all are at your governance, the smoother things run and the fewer problems that you tend to have. Okay, then there's relationship capital. So capital meaning like, you know, money that you have in the bank. So relationship capital would mean that the board and the superintendent have a trust. That's worth something, right? There's value to that. And then there's unified governance voice. So you are, you're 9 people, it looks like more than that, but so you're 9 individuals who do have to have a singular voice. And that's really challenging. Not every organization has to have, you know, ultimately have that singular voice. They might make a decision that affects everybody together, and there might be consensus. But it's a little, I think it's a little bit more complicated for boards of ed. And then respectful disagreement aligned to ethics. So yes, there should be disagreement, there should be conversation, there should be debate. That's just natural, and it's what board members do to make sure that those student outcomes, you know, that everything is going through the process of, you know, taken into consideration for student outcomes. But it can be done respectfully, and certainly you're a model for students and for the community. Okay, so data-informed governance. That happens to be a graphic that shows student performance, and I'm realizing now, after I look at it, that's not really, like you certainly want to see student performance, and the superintendent and her staff deliver that information to you on a regular basis, and yes, you should be asking for it, you should be having questions about it, but it doesn't just mean that. It also means that you could be collecting data on what stakeholders have to say, so what would that look like, right? That would be like a survey. And then verify patterns through data, that could be what students' needs are, and use dashboards for monitoring. I'm interested in exploring that a little bit more at New Jersey school boards. I'm not sure, some boards have like dashboards that they've created, and that information could, it's for you guys, so that you can quickly look up things like, you know, data. It could be student data, it could be data about input from the community, policies, of course. So having all that in one place is something that you might call a dashboard. But for the most part, you know, you have a lot of data and you ask for it and you have to sift through it. I know that you receive a lot of information before a meeting and as part of your committee work. So there is a lot of data, a lot of information, and it's a big part of what you all do. Organizing that in some way can help. So I think that's sort of the theme of that particular concept in that slide. Coherence is so align, reduce, protect. So you want to align policy, budget, goals, evaluation with expectations, and also with expectations, but also with goals, etc. You want to reduce the initiative overload. So that's that noise kind of piece again. So there might be things that are distracting, or that maybe you can address as quickly as possible, but get back to the focus. So, for example, your goals. I can tell in the brief time that I've been working with you that it's top of mind for you. That shows some focus, and that also shows that you're aware of the fact that you know, you need to stay focused in that all that goes into it. So you want to also protect your focus over time. So that's what I was referring to. All right, strategic planning as a focus filter. So strategic planning is something that if you have a strategic plan in place, usually it's like a 5-year plan, you keep referring to that. So, I can't recall if you have like an active one, what year you're in?
Not the NJSBA kind.
Okay, okay. So, it's not a judgmental kind of thing.
No, our strategic planning though is very much around our current district goals and curriculum and all of our initiatives. So, you know, we tie it into really nicely when we do like our budget presentations and kind of see where we're at. So so my point is it's there.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
it's there.
We've got multiple goals.
multi-year goals. Okay, that's great, because there's a comment about that in one of the final slides. So yeah, the idea, whether it's a formal strategic plan or you have a different version of how to, your mode for that, doesn't matter. What's important is that your strategies are what drive your decisions, that you avoid priority drift. I love that. Like, you have your priorities, we all do in life, right? We have our priorities, we want to avoid being pulled away from it. You're working on something even day to day, and I don't know, cat jumps on you when you're trying to do your work. That takes you away from your focus. So you have to know what your priorities are as a board and try to stick to them while managing things that come up that you didn't plan to have to manage. And also on that slide, monitor outcomes consistently. So that goes back to sort of the data. It goes back to the fact that at board meetings, you report out regularly on different things that are part of your priorities, demonstrates that. Then there's, in the sense, in the grand scheme of alignment, there's also alignment in how you evaluate your superintendent. So that when you evaluate your superintendent, you're connecting to the strategic goals, or whatever mode your goals are in. Of course, there's connection, and I can see that that's the case here too. Focusing on the outcomes of those goals. So by law, every school district throughout New Jersey, by June 30th, July 1, has to have a formal evaluation completed of the superintendent. So when that's done, those are some of the elements that are in it. There's, okay, so how did the superintendent do on goals? What were the outcomes? That kind of thing. So, and then lastly on that slide, to ensure strategic coherence. So the coherence that comes out of the superintendent's office is based on those kinds of alignments and connections. Okay, so full and aligned board behaviors. So these are, if you're thinking in terms of full and, these are the behaviors that a board would demonstrate, focusing on fewer priorities. That's not to say that there aren't a lot of really important things that you deal with, that you manage, and that your community expects from you, et cetera. But it's just like the schools that you provide the oversight for. They have targets that they have to stay focused on, and so do you. Monitor results, not tactics. So yeah, that goes back to sort of the why and the how thing. So what are the results? And then as a board, you have a conversation about that. Is that what we were hoping for? Is that what we were targeting? Not so much the tactics. Well, we should do this, we should do that. Certainly questions and conversations are important, but it's that how and why thing again. And then supporting stability. There's nothing better than, when you have that smooth board meeting and everything just goes right, and it's like, wow, that's great. And you look at the clock and go, wow, that's a good feeling. So the goal, of course, is for boards to be moving along that with that kind of flow and that kind of coherence and continuity. That's how it feels when you're thinking about how the district is running. And strategic questions. So the most powerful thing I like to say that board members have is the ability to ask questions. That's how you get information, and that is a form of accountability as well, by asking questions. So there's something in Fulham called anti-patterns or anti-patterns, but so I juxtaposed, so this is the same thing on the slide on the right there. So I wanted to juxtapose the idea of being reactive, reactionary, versus being strategic and leadership patterns. So I already talked about what good leadership patterns are on the right, and then from a reactive standpoint, there's nothing more distracting or to pull your focus away than chasing trends, than micromanagement, reactive policy decisions, and overemphasis on individual complaints. Oh, I see. Okay, so common theme, focus. What are we focusing on? Advanced student outcomes. So when you're having conversations, when you're making decisions, it's sort of like that internal monologue that's saying, well, does this advance student outcomes? Does this increase coherence in us as an organization, as a board? Does this build system capacity? So are we moving towards that high-functioning, streamlined kind of board that everybody strives to be? Okay, clarity drives improvement. So yeah, this is just a small bit about the fact that being clear on what the goals are, and there's that line that I like a lot too, is really important. The strongest boards are not the busiest boards. That's important. They are the clearest they are the clearest boards as far as clarity goes, and everybody knowing what their roles are, the community knowing that they can count on you, and then clarity and coherence together drive the improvement. And this is what coherent governance looks like. Meetings centered on student outcomes, not operational noise. Decisions filtered through strategy, not urgency. Consistent governance voice and messaging. Fewer initiatives, deeper impact. A governance team that models stability and alignment. Okay, so this is sort of wrapping up before I ask you that question so that we can have a little bit of a conversation, if that's allowed or okay, on how you see yourselves and what I can do to support you going forward. But this is sort of a breakdown on a full and aligned framework, what you would do next as any board. So you would establish the big 3 student outcome priorities. So I guess the idea is, you can only focus on so many. So 3 is like a magic number. So focus on those measurable results. Typically that would mean, with regard to students, it could be academic or something else, but either way, measuring them and focusing on those 3 things. It could be like wellness is a goal, so therefore that becomes one. It doesn't have to be academic, math, and science, and reading. Yeah, and it could be that. Align the governance structure, so annual board goals, you do that. Superintendent evaluation, you do that, you need to do it, but you do it in a coherent way and regularly and aligned with goals, etc. Budget priorities, that's a tough one. These days for most boards, maybe it's not as big for you. We won't open up that can here. But budget priorities have to be aligned with goals, etc. Policy review cycle, again, that's one of your goals. That's really important because that's sort of like, one of the main functions of the board, is to make sure that policies are aligned with law, that they're being, that they're being followed, and when in doubt, you go to the policy and make decisions based on that. Create a simple governance dashboard. That's that dashboard thing I was talking about again. Just a way that you can have data handy. So, I'm just going to digress for a second. When I started with school boards, I realized that's a lot of districts. That's a lot of dates. That's a lot of information. I've never, ever had to deal with that much sort of detailed information from so many different people and faces, et cetera. That was scary to me. Own dashboard, and actually a couple of other school board field service reps are interested in it. But even on my phone, I just created this simple sort of like it's like a Google site, but all the key things are there. So at any time, like if I have to pull up, if I want to find out if you're board certified yet, I can do that because I have it on a dashboard. So I think the reason I keep mentioning that is it's so important for boards to be able to work efficiently and effectively if you can actually do that. So I'm hoping that along the way in school boards, we can actually help build those with people. But I haven't even shared that with anyone yet. Well, I did. Anyway, that's my digression, but I do believe in you having all the information very quickly at your fingertips so that you can do the work that you need to do. Refresh or adopt board norms, strengthen trust and coherence. So that's an ongoing process. You're always working to strengthen your relationships. Trust and coherence, you don't have, as they always say, you don't have to be best friends, but you absolutely have to have the goal of serving the community and managing as your moral purpose the outcomes for students. And then lastly there, protect stability. Keep priorities stable. Well, according to Fullen, it's like a magic 2 years, but it kind of depends on what the specific needs of a board and a district are. So I just put down there for 12 months, 24 months. The main point of it being that you don't want to be shifting those priorities. It's a cat chasing its tail kind of thing. All right, so I think this might be a good time if you're up for it to have a little bit of discussion on back to that first question. So if this is a framework, well, first, if you have any questions about what I presented, certainly we should do that. But I'm also curious to see if you wanted to have conversation or just share among yourselves a little bit about how you see yourselves through a filter, through a lens of a framework that focuses on alignment, coherence, that kind of thing. So first, any questions about this? Okay. and I do know you have a whole agenda, and I don't know if this is the time and place. Did anybody want to mention anything as far as what you feel with regard to this? Why don't we do it this way? What was a good thing, a good connection, something that you say, yeah, we do that? I think that would be appropriate, if that's okay. Yeah, Jess?
So as far as alignment goes, we actually have a governance calendar that keeps us all aligned with all of the tasks that we have and the deadlines. It's like a snapshot of that we started to do, and we made that as part of our board goals.
Yep, so that under goals, talking about focus, and I don't know that that's that common. I don't know that everybody's doing that, so that's fantastic. What's another good thing that shows that you are in alignment and coherent in some ways? Did we get one or two more?
I can say at least for the end of our board meeting, we do district distinctions. I think it's a good reminder that why we're all here.
Mhm.
You know, we kind of highlight some of the achievements that went inside the school buildings, and sometimes there's student recognition, things like that. So I think it kind of grounds the board as a whole, and since even if there's some disagreement during the board, it kind of ends the night on a positive note that we're all kind of here for the schools and for the staff.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. You need that because it's like a refresh. We know that there can be hard conversations at tables at times, but it always comes back around to kids. Beautiful. Yeah, love it. Maybe one more. All right, that's your homework. All right. So if that's it, I can just say thank you so much for having me. I look forward to it. I'm in pretty regular contact with a couple of you, but John, we've been talking about retreat in June to review board self-evaluation and go over the compilation of that, set goals again. I really do appreciate how mindful and thoughtful you are about developing those goals that then, of course, become your moral purpose with regard to student outcomes. Okay, question. You have a copy of the slides? Sure. I appreciate that you asked. Yeah, I'll send it first thing in the morning. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moving on to correspondence. This month we have correspondence from K. Utenas, L. Mason, M. Schopes, T. Lagos, and R. Keshishian. Sorry, if I mispronounced names. Moving on to committee reports. Can we start with Education Committee?
The Education Committee met on Friday, January 23rd. In attendance were myself, Kelly, Anna, Rob, our Director of Curriculum, Stella Russo, and Superintendent Lind. We discussed the Universal Screener number 2, winter window. Testing is currently underway in grades K through 3 to meet New Jersey literacy mandates. Results will be distributed via student backpacks at the end of the month. We reviewed Professional Development Day. K through 5 teachers were trained to utilize Linkett's reporting features, ensuring that assessment data is effectively applied to differentiate and guide classroom instruction. In addition, middle school teachers engaged in data analysis training focused on how to read and utilize the diagnostic results from the iReady pilot. AIPD will be ongoing, especially through CLT meetings for LVMS. STEAM. Elementary STEAM teachers received training on the 3D printers and engaged in collaborative curriculum discussions. We are excited to report that the STEAM labs are officially open across all 3 elementary schools. Teachers are excited to facilitate hands-on projects and student exploration activities. We also discussed library. By utilizing cross-curricular activities, our students are still enjoying the library curriculum while maximizing the limited time we have in a school day. PALS program began on January 26th, 27th, or 28th in all district schools. Moving on to testing. With the iReady pilot successfully completed, the focus now shifts to data analysis. We are excited to see how its insights will deepen our instructional practice and build upon the curricular foundation we have established. During discussions surrounding this topic, Ms. Russo lent a little bit of wisdom that I would like to share with the families in the district. While the expectation is always that students try their hardest, these particular tests are not a time to become stressed over getting every answer correct. Often students take a long time worrying about answers they might not know. Ms. Russo said something to the effect of, I'm I'm not looking for them to do their best. I want them to do their normal. I wholeheartedly appreciated the sentiment, and I know it will stick with at least a few of you out there, especially those whose kids get stressed about testing. These tests are taken with the intention of demonstrating what a student is ready for. Keeping that little bit of wisdom in mind, the next time these tests roll around, could help alleviate some unneeded pressure for our students and families. Thank you, Ms. Russo, for that perspective and continued dedication to our students, families, and staff. The committee also discussed the latest successful parent university. A huge thank you to Stacey Davies for her presentation, Demystifying Dyslexia. She is extremely knowledgeable, professional, and tremendously supportive. Families left feeling heard and in partnership with always an open line of communication and resources. The leadership team is currently planning our next parent university meeting, which will be announced soon. And lastly, an ELA update. We are actively planning for the expansion of structured literacy programming in grade 2. This initiative is part of a broader effort to enhance our ELA curriculum through the adoption of new evidence-based instructional methods.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Finance and Facilities.
Finance and Facilities Committee met February 3rd. Jess, John, Mike, Antonella, Katie, Stephanie, and I attended. First, the committee reviewed the current referendum balance, which as of the day before the meeting stood at $1,153,000. Upcoming milestones related to the referendum projects are, we've got a bid opening for the LVMS sports courts on March 3rd, with an anticipated award at our March meeting. The PAC sound and lighting demolition has begun, and there was an on-site meeting to discuss the project on the 5th of February. All of our STEAM spaces are fully operational and in use. There are some punch list items still outstanding that are being worked through. And finally, with regards to the referendum, the HVAC system for Flactel Cosman, the transformer installation has been pushed back from spring break to summer to mitigate risk that any unforeseen circumstances related to that could cause catastrophic power outages, resulting in missed school days. Then the committee discussed other facilities items, namely replacement of the water heater here at Cuccinella, and a proposal to improve measures of physical security across the district. Next, we reviewed items on tonight's agenda, specifically numbers 10, 11, and 12, which I think are more or less self-explanatory as written. Katie then presented proposed language to revise policy 7510, which is a policy for facilities use. And the revised language would allow the facilities to be rented by for-profit groups. Currently, it's just for use by nonprofits. So all the renovations we're making to spaces such as the PAC, we might be able to recoup some of the cost with a change like that. And I believe that policy is currently with our attorney, who is revising the language. Then Katie provided an update on the draft budget, including health benefits projections. And finally, the meeting concluded with a discussion on district security. The board members in attendance were sharply divided, with 2 open to learning more about providing security to the students and staff of the district while acting as good stewards of taxpayer dollars, and 2 vehemently opposed to learning new things. And I'd actually like to close with a request for information to the chair. When will you be assigning a 4th member to the Finance and Facilities Committee?
There currently are 4 members.
Are you including yourself?
I am.
Because our bylaws, specifically 0155 and 0171, establish you as an ex officio member of all the committees. So are you assigning yourself twice?
I assigned myself my first year on the board. I believe Mrs. DeSico was opposed to that. It went to our council at the time and said it's absolutely no question I could be on a committee.
Again, you are. I'm not denying that you're on all the committees.
But I can't attend. I can't be a 5th member on a committee. So I'm a standing member of the Finance
So you
Facilities Committee.
intentionally left a vacancy so you could attend the finance meetings? Is that what I'm understanding?
I put myself on the committee.
Because we have 1 board member who only had 1 committee assignment.
That's correct.
Okay. Just trying to understand your intention for why you did that.
Because I assigned the committees and I put myself on the Finance Facilities Committee.
You didn't answer why. I know you did that.
I don't know what you're getting at. I put myself on the Finance Facilities Committee because I wanted to be on the committee and I felt like that was the best option.
Okay.
I don't really need to explain it.
You don't have to.
Okay,
explain it.
thank you. Are you all finished?
Yeah, your lack of explanation speaks volumes. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the Personnel Committee reports.
Personnel met Monday, February 2nd at noon. In attendance were Mike, Kelly, Antonella, and myself. Upcoming staffing and planning around the budget. The leadership team is currently developing plans for staffing, scheduling, and budget. The entire leadership team has demonstrated strong collaboration and strategic district planning, balancing fiscal responsibility with academic and student needs. The district continues to examine several areas for possible restructuring to better align with evolving demands while maintaining a student-centered focus. The payroll update, we discussed the decision to outsource payroll and its current and future benefits to the district.
Moving on to Communications and Governance Committee.
Communications and Governance Committee met on Tuesday, February 3rd. In attendance was myself, Melanie Bratton, Anna Scaiano, Isabel Vieira, and Antonella Lind. First, we reviewed the governance calendar for the beginning of the year, which, as previously mentioned, sets all of our tasks and goals with dates that we need to accomplish them by. We reviewed the calendar and will work collaboratively to build on timelines and goals together. We then discussed board PD and maintaining our master board, our Carol E. Larson status, a review of how this can be achieved by our board members, and detailed supportive explanation. I will cover more of that under new business. We then went over our mandated policies. All were shared for our first read, which are on the agenda. Bylaw 0173, duties of public school accountant. Bylaw 0174, legal services. Bylaw 0177, professional services. Policy 1570, internal controls. Regulation 1570, internal controls, as well as Policy 1620, administrative employment contracts. We then raised Policy 5530, substance abuse, which has not been revised in quite a few years. So we will review it further with Strauss Esme and our attorney, and we also discussed ideas for upcoming parent evenings and informations.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment on agenda items. If anyone has a public comment on agenda items, please approach the microphone, state your name, address, and you'll have 3 minutes to provide any comment. All right, moving on to approval of minutes. Making a motion to approve the January 6th regular meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Any abstentions? Okay, making a motion to approve the January 6th executive session meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay, moving on to agenda items. So, education. Can I have somebody please move education?
Education would like to make a motion to move item 24 on the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. DeSico?
Yes.
Mrs. Muchart?
Yes.
Mrs. Vieira?
Yes.
Mrs. Scaiano?
Yes.
Mr. Waskis?
Yes.
Mrs. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Catano?
Yes.
Mr. Oldmixon?
Yes. Can I have somebody please move finance?
Finance would like to move item number 5 on tonight's agenda, a motion to accept with gratitude the contribution of $50 from an anonymous donor to be used in the district for payment of outstanding lunch balances.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. DeSico?
Yes.
Mrs. Muchart?
Yes.
Mrs. Vieira?
Yes.
Mrs. Scaiano?
Yes.
Mr. Waskis?
Yes.
Mrs. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Catano?
Yes.
Mr. Oldmixon?
Yes.
Next, finance would like to move items 6 through 15 on tonight's agenda. Second.
Any discussion?
I actually do have a question. This is maybe more of a committee question, but I saw, and this isn't going to affect my vote. Mrs. Schreiber is attending a train-the-trainer session on dyscalculia, and that made me question. So right now, we have the DIBBLS, which looks at dyslexia. Does that also look at dyscalculia or dysgraphia? Do we have any kind of evaluation for either of those?
Although
get back to you on what we're.
Okay, yeah, I know, I didn't
No, no,
prep
it's
you,
okay, I'll
so
get back to you on.
you're on the spot, but
No, it's fine. It's a good
Okay.
question. I'll get back to you though, because I want to
Okay.
have the accurate information of, and she's excellent. So I do want her to have the opportunities to go and see like really what's new and current. So most likely I'll be obviously touching base with her, Mr. Polito, and Deb Russo and be able to circle back with more of a appropriate response.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. DeSico?
Yes, with an abstention on number 15.
Mrs. Newchart?
Yes.
Mrs. Viera?
Yes.
Mrs. Guyano?
Yes on 6 through 14, and abstention on 15.
Mr. Waskis?
Yes.
Mrs. Bratton?
Yes, with an abstention on 15.
Mr. Catano?
Yes.
Mr. Olmstead?
Yes. Moving on to personnel, can I have somebody please with personnel?
Personnel would like to make a motion to accept with regret the following retirements. Mary Bronco, teacher of special education at Old Farmers Road School, effective July 1st, 2026, after 18 years of service. Miss Louise Fichot, school secretary, Flocktown Cosman School, effective May 1st, 2026, after 32 years of service. And Miss Brianna Rosado, teacher at Cuccinella School, effective June 30th, 2026, after 31 years of service. The district would like to thank all three women for their dedication to our district during their careers.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll just add to that, just to open up the discussion, just wanted to thank these three teachers and staff for their extensive career in our township, and wish them all the best of luck in retirement. Any other discussion? All right.
I'd like to, can I say something?
Yeah.
Obviously, I echo the same sentiments, but specifically to Mrs. Rosado, who two of my kids have had as her students. She is an exceptional teacher, such dedication, such talent, and such love for her students. She's really going to be missed at Cuccinella.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something. Echo sentiments for all three women for wonderful careers. I would like to thank Ms. Fichot in specific for her 32 years of service for our district. I was lucky enough to have Ms. Fichot be the first new person I met in Long Valley. The day after we closed on our house, I called the school to enroll my daughter in kindergarten. And she found out we were moving from out of state and sent me an email with all of the places I could go to meet moms. She told me about Rock Spring Park, she told me about the library, and it was the moment that I thought I felt so lucky that we got to move to Long Valley. So she set the bar very high and has contributed to such a wonderful culture and climate at Cosman specifically. I'm so grateful that our kids get to go to school in such a wonderful place that she really contributed to. So thank you again, Ms. Fichot, for your service.
That's great. Thank you very much for sharing that. Anybody else? All right, roll call?
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. DeSico?
Yes.
Mrs. Newchart?
Yes.
Mrs. Viera?
Yes.
Mrs. Guyano?
Yes.
Mr. Waskis?
Yes.
Mrs. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Catano?
Yes.
Mr. Olmstead?
Yes.
Personnel would like to make a motion to accept items number 17 through 26.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. DeSico?
Yes.
Mrs. Newchart?
Yes.
Mrs. Viera?
Yes.
Mrs. Guyano?
Yes.
Mr. Waskis?
Yes.
Mrs. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Catano?
Yes.
Mr. Olmstead?
Yes. Next, I'd like to make a motion to read for the first time policies under agenda item number 27.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. The first one is on bylaw 0173, duties of public school accountant. So the draft has some new language that speaks to our business administrator, or maybe it was the secretary, Kate, either way, having to provide a report. My question is the management summary that Ms. Vache provides, does that check that box? Because it says you can provide it or you can delegate it, I forget the exact term.
I think you're referring to the last, because I actually had a similar question. The last line is the red line. It's crossed out saying the board secretary will prepare or have prepared a summary of the annual audit for this board meeting. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the presentation by the auditor.
Okay, so that counts. Okay. Didn't want any additional work. Okay, thank you. Second one. This was in the legal services, so this is bylaw 0174. There was some language in that spoke to basically assigning one of our administrators the responsibility of tracking hours if any of those 4 procedures had to be put in place. Is that board secretary? Is that Katie? Is that the superintendent?
Yeah. To monitor like
Yeah.
who is speaking to and
I'm
what
just-
the
yeah, I'm
rules
just
are.
wondering who
Yes,
that is.
hand in hand, we're both doing, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
And then I sign off on that bit as well. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. DeSico?
Yes.
Mrs. Muchart? Yes. Mrs. Viera?
Yes.
Mrs. Diana? Yes. Mr. Waskis?
Yes.
Mrs. Bratton? Yes. Mr. Catano?
Yes.
Yes. Moving on to unfinished business. Does anybody have any unfinished business?
No, but as a point of order, you're not actually supposed to ask that. Robert's Rules of Order states you're not supposed to unless it is actually unfinished business. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rob.
Might
Moving on
benefit
to new
from actually
business.
taking some of that training or looking at Robert's Rules.
That's really inappropriate.
It's just
Thanks,
a
Rob.
You're
suggestion.
really inappropriate.
Moving on to new business. I actually did have a new business item, and it's definitely not a hill I'm going to die on, but it looks like the governor's address was delayed a little bit. I just want to ensure, I guess, the board meeting in March, we still will have enough time. I just want to prevent having a second special board meeting just because of the budget. So I didn't know if it'd be worthwhile to entertain possibly changing the date.
They introduced a bill, but they haven't passed the bill yet.
Okay.
So that's just speculative that it will
Okay.
be March 10th. But I can definitely update the board when I have more information.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other new business?
I
Yes.
will. Oh, go ahead, you
You
go
go
first.
first.
I have
Yes.
4 items, you go first.
I'll be faster. I believe there's a policy that we need to review, but before it goes to governance, I kind of wanted to be sure everyone kind of heard broadly. Policy 9210 regarding parent organizations. I do think there's a need to revisit this one. I think it was 2020 since this last time it was looked at. I think there's a need to kind of clearly outline everyone's roles and positions and make sure we have good, healthy relationships with everyone and there's a clear understanding of where everyone's role is. But before that took place, it was really important, to me at least, that all of the PTA presidents meet with our superintendent so that they all kind of feel like they're a part of the conversation because it is a policy that pertains to outside organizations that do a lot for our school community. So kind of just wanted to throw that out there just to see what everyone thought before we kind of discuss it.
Do we know this policy by chance? The number?
The number 9210.
I mean, I'd have to read the policy, but,
There's not a lot happening. I have to be honest.
okay. And this is, I'm sorry, this is related to.
Parent organizations, like PTOs, PTAs. It's titled parent organizations.
I mean, I'll open it up to the floor if anybody, I'm impartial to it, honestly. I mean, I'd have to go look at the policy. I haven't, I can pull it up now.
Yeah, sorry for not giving a heads up. It was kind of a last minute type of thought on it. It didn't seem overly controversial other than I wanted to be sure, like I want Antonella to be a part of that conversation with the PTOs, PTAs, because everyone has a very different culture in their organization. I want them all to feel heard and supported so we can all continue collaboratively working together.
Okay. What's that? Okay. All right.
I'll put on the agenda for next month's meeting. Yep, no problem.
All right. Is there any other new business?
Yeah. So I just have 4 items to give the board updates on. So the first one is Legal One training update. This training, just as a refresher, was won at the NJSBA conference and will focus on an hour-long legal training on special education law, and it is scheduled for the May 12th board meeting. Board certification and requirement training. So to maintain our Carol E. Larson board certification, we must complete prior to the June 16th deadline the following, which I'm proposing that we go ahead and confirm. Dr. Paul Perino, who's just here tonight, can conduct a board self-evaluation training in March or April. And then, as mentioned, he can do the goal-setting workshop as part of our June board retreat, as long as the board retreat is prior to the June 16th deadline. These sessions will ensure compliance, strengthen board governance practices, and help us to meet our stated goals. Are there any objections to going ahead with that plan?
Dr. Pinheiro is going to come to the March or April.
He can, or we could do a special meeting. It does not matter as long as it gets done.
I mean, my own opinion, I'd rather just kind of bundle it into the regular meeting so we don't have to schedule another one. I'm fine otherwise.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else has any other opinion on that, but
Regular meeting would be preferable.
I have no other concerns.
Anybody have a preference between March or April? Okay. I'll touch base with him and see if he has a preference, and I will let everybody know. The other update I have is on the Legislative Advocacy Committee, which I promised that I would give updates on regularly. The Legislative Advocacy Committee continues to strengthen and organize its advocacy efforts with a primary focus on HIB, anti-bullying, funding pressures, and special education. A shared tracking tool has been implemented to identify common themes and concerns across districts and to guide a more structured advocacy effort. A key initiative is advancing a proposed HIB reform task force bill. This draft bill would establish a temporary statewide task force to review, improve, and simplify New Jersey's HIB laws and procedures. The goal is to reduce administrative burden on districts, speed up responses to incidences, and ensure the framework is effective and practical while still protecting students. The bill does not change current law, but instead creates a process to study the issue and recommend further legislative or administrative action. If passed, this task force would include the Commissioner of Education or designee, 4 public members with subject matter expertise appointed by legislative leadership, and 8 education community representatives appointed by the governor, including teachers, principals, school boards, administrators, counselors, psychologists, charter schools, and school coalitions. The committee is also gathering real-world input from superintendents and HIB coordinators and involving experienced practitioners to ensure advocacy reflects day-to-day district realities. In addition, the committee is also monitoring pilot agreements, related legislation, regionalization discussions, particularly concerns around transportation, long-term costs, and debt. Morris County's efforts are now being coordinated with the statewide second vice president of legislation to improve alignment, strengthen messaging, and avoid duplicate of efforts. Overall, the committee's goal remains to elevate district experiences, translate them into clear legislative properties, and pursue advocacy in a thoughtful, practical, and collaborative way. On the same vein, I wanted to give an update on the NJSBA County Leadership Meeting, which is on Saturday. The recent County Leadership Meeting included a session titled Advocacy Tips from the Inside, which was presented by a former school board member, Daniel Harris, who also serves as Chief of Staff, Deputy Executive Director at the New Jersey General Assembly Majority Office. The session focused on effective ways to communicate with legislators, common advocacy mistakes to avoid, and best practices for legislative engagement. Updates were also provided on new and incoming legislation and advocacy strategies. During the session, guidance was sought regarding how to move the Legislative Advocacy Committee with the HIB Reform Task Force draft bill. Mr. Harris recommended meeting with members of the Education Committee as a productive next step. Requests for those meetings have already been submitted. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other new business? All right, moving on to public comment. This is public comment on all items. Please approach the microphone, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Camelia Spadaccini. I have to say my address, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, 153 Kings Highway. I am the PTA president at Lockdown Boston, and I just had a couple of questions and concerns, I guess, about what the PTA can donate to the school and what they can't donate. And I understand that the other elementary schools in the district are PTO, not a PTA, and there are either legal distinctions or policy distinctions there. Just to give you guys all some context, the issue is around the observatory, I think is what it's called. I don't actually know what the name of it is, at Cuccinella, that the PTO donated to the school.
Does not donate.
Okay, well that they will be donating to.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
It's something that exists currently.
Yeah.
I know it usually is
It's
right
the
here.
planetarium.
Yes.
Yeah,
And as far as I understand, there's an accompanying curriculum with that planetarium, observatory, whatever you want to call it. So there's been some rumbling, let's say, at Flocktown, and I don't know about Old Farmers, but just, you know, feeling like, why does this one school get that curriculum, whereas like the kids at Flocktown or Old Farmers are not. It's not about like money. We all have been able to raise a lot of money, very grateful to our families there. But I was advised that the PTA cannot purchase anything related to academics or anything that would affect the curriculum or create inequity across the 3 schools. So I just wanted to put it out there on public comment that, you know, we know that Cuccinella has it and we know that PTO purchased it, and that's wonderful and amazing. Do not want to take that away, but hoping that we can kind of come to some resolution where all 3 of the elementary schools get to use it. I don't know, apparently you can fold it because I think it goes here. So maybe it can make its way to Flocktown or make its way to Old Farmers at some point. Happy to email you, Ms. Lind, and talk further about that. I just wanted to get that on record. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think I passed 3 minutes.
Is there any other public comment?
Hi, Chris Castro, 14 Alexandra Lane. Had 2 questions, and I'm not sure if this is the best forum or the best avenue, but number 1, just wanted to ask what the board is planning on, or how they're planning on implementing the bell-to-bell law for, I guess is it for fall of 26? The state had passed. I know that there's still some discussion about how funds are going to be used and how this is going to be implemented. And the second one was, maybe this is best requested to either the education committee, but I have my 3rd child now going through the K-8 program in town here. My first 2, I always had a question about the requirements for the accelerated math program, and the rubric has been just thrown at me as the reason why. When you look at the rubric, it basically does not include, it includes the performance in 5th grade as a very minor part of the inclusion. If you're using the words that Ms. Russo used, we're not asking our students to do our best, we're just asking them to do our norm. I think it contradicts the rubric, and it actually gives gives disproportionate say in the point system, which is used to include or exclude students who are qualified but may not test as well to get the points to get into accelerated math. Again, I'm not sure this is how it is. Furthermore, from experience, it seems like the accelerated math program at LDMS takes about 4 to 5%. I think, while there's a goal to basically get the strongest kids in there, I think we also miss a larger percentage. I don't think accelerated math should be limited to the top 4 or 5%, whether that be 10, 15%, I'm not sure, but seeing my child, my oldest one especially, who could not qualify and who didn't get the rubric, was close at all. Seeing her now 7 years later, 6 years later, where she has done exceptionally well, I can speak from experience that they missed the boat on her. And seeing my current 5th grader, I just don't want to have the same thing happen.
I want to let Antonella obviously answer, but can I just clarify the context of Ms. Russo's comment?
Why don't we just wait after till, once everybody's
Okay,
done?
sure.
And we can comment. We usually, public comes up, asks questions.
Sure.
And we usually kind of address
Thanks.
everything at once. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there any other public comment? Okay, so just first thing I'll open up regarding the planetarium. I think the best solution to your question is to have Superintendent Lynn maybe reach out to you. We're aware of it, but I don't really want to comment too much on it unless you have anything else to add on that.
No, I prefer to, you know, unpack the conversation, the questions more so, because I have a little bit more detail, but it's not a problem, yeah, I'm about to do it. But I do appreciate the questions and the concerns that have come up, and we are addressing them appropriately.
And then the gentleman's question, the bell-to-bell law, I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that. I'm not.
We're still waiting on more guidance, but currently, I mean, the children are not using, you're referencing the cell phones, right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they're not using them. And as far as us utilizing additional possible funds to purchase somewhere to house cell phones, they house them in their personal, they put them in their backpacks, they're put away in the locker, they're not using them during instruction. So essentially bell to bell as we have it. If we have to tweak and update our policies, we will in accordance with what comes out. But currently we're fine that way, and I'm not going to be purchasing other things to, God forbid, damage their personal property or anything of that. We don't have the need to do that. There are larger districts across the state that may feel very different, and they may certainly do something along those lines and have the ability to monitor such a thing, but we don't have that need. But it's a good question. We'll provide more information as more comes out.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I don't know if Melanie you want to touch on, but if you wanted to, I'm
gonna
not too
throw it
in
to
depth
her.
with the curriculum, but.
I'm gonna have you clarify just a little bit. Those comments that she made were not in regards to all testing. It was for this particular, for the iReady and math testing.
Mhm.
Do you wanna explain, like, brief
So,
difference there, just to
We're,
make sure?
yeah, I'm gonna unpack this, the particular concern as far as the Excel math, you know, at a different time.
It is
Because I
something-
already have received an email, and so I have already put forth the request and the information from Mr. Ippolito, who's doing a wonderful job at kind of cultivating everything that we need to know to then be able to address this, and then at a more appropriate level for specifically for your child. I also have Ms. Russo temping on that piece of it on a curriculum basis. So we're in front of it. I just haven't responded immediately back because I'm still gathering the information for you.
Okay.
But we do take everything under advisement as well. So, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. So I'll circle back.
Thank you.
Thank you for the comments. Moving on to district distinctions. In curriculum, we are excited to announce our new STEAM and media centers are officially open and buzzing with creativity. Students are diving into hands-on experiences like Sphero Indie, rocket building, pixel art, and coding with code.org, Tinkercad, design challenges, makey inventions, Mars rover builds, mini parachutes, and investigations into matter, wood, air, and even owl dissection. In special education, on January 21st, the district hosted a parent university workshop on dyslexia that drew strong attendance and highly positive feedback from families. A big thank you to Ms. Davies, who led the presentation. Parents appreciated the practical strategies shared from home and the hopeful tone of the evening, underscoring the district's continued commitment to partnering with families and supporting diverse learners. On February 3rd CPAG meeting, Ms. Julie Davis presented on the new Eureka Math program and how the program has been successfully implemented with students who have IEPs. This presentation reflects the district's continued commitment to partnering with families and using evidence-based instructional programs to meet the needs of all learners. In Cujanella, students in Mrs. Davis's third grade ELA class recently visited Mrs. Miranda's pre-K disabled class for special readers theater experience. Our third graders read with their preschool peers and performed a short play, bringing the story to life through expressive voices, clear reading, and confident speaking. Cujanella took time as a school community direct school resource officer, Sergeant Griffin. With a special day of appreciation, students created heartfelt cards and thoughtful tokens of gratitude, and staff coordinated a potluck lunch for his honor. While it was a small gesture, it came from a very genuine place. Sergeant Griffin is a trusted, familiar, and supportive presence in our building, and we are grateful for the partnership we share with him and the entire Washington Township Police Department. Students collected aluminum can tabs to support the Ronald McDonald House affiliated with Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. This organization provides a home away from home for families with sick children. Each classroom at Cuccinella has a container which is collected monthly, and the top 3 classrooms with the largest collections are celebrated on the morning announcements. Mrs. Richardson and Mrs. Bissell's 4th grade homeroom led the way in January with 12.5 ounces of can tabs. At Flocktown, the Wolf Team 1 student ambassadors announced their Flocktown Road School homeroom representatives. Together, their next service learning project will involve a community outreach project that is completely student-created, run, and delivered. We cannot wait to see what our students come up with. In Old Farmers, the entire school community has enthusiastically rallied around our kindness is key motto, a message recently solidified by a visit from the King of Kindness and his reminder to keep improving and never doubt. Congratulations to the latest award winners in kindergarten, Akari Guerra Castro, 1st grader Robert Connolly, 2nd grader Wyatt Liciero, 3rd grader Warren Swift, 4th grader Shayla Foray, and in 5th grade Holden Robbie, Micah Aranyu, and Margaret Jones. In LVMS, our winter sports season is coming to an end with both teams entering the Morris County Tournament. Congratulations to Coach Denny and Coach Kays and all our student athletes on successful seasons. We look forward to our spring sports seasons beginning after spring break. The LVMS Ski and Snowboard Club just concluded their season at Shawnee Mountain. With almost 140 student participants, students were able to enjoy ideal snowy conditions on the mountain for the first time in many years. Thank you to club advisors, Mr. Inskeet, Mrs. Reslan, and Mrs. Sansevier, and all their efforts, as well as our parent volunteers for making this season a success. Mr. Jonak and Mr. Amiga are working with the cast of The Wizard of Oz Jr. to prepare for our May production. We are looking forward to a great show and welcoming all of the newly renovated Performing Arts Center. Technology, the 3D printers are here. Each of our elementary STEAM labs has 2. The technology department has set them up and is running professional development training for the media specialists to operate them. The students are excited to start creating and 3D printing. And that concludes our district distinctions, and I'd like to make a motion for adjournment. Do we have something else then?
No, I wanted to just highlight that the LVMS girls basketball team played for county championship, and they got 2nd place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
it
wasn't aware of that.
was a
When
really
was that?
wonderful accomplishment. That was on Saturday. And then the other thing that I should have noted was that we're actively working on One Book, One District, and this year the middle school is also going to be participating in it. So
Okay.
it's just like this to enjoy something.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for that addition. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.